Welcome back. So you've sent in some really great stuff, all kind of circling around this fascinating puzzle that is the English language.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's wonderfully inconsistent, isn't it?
totally. So we're doing a deep dive today, looking at why it's so, well, itself, why it breaks its own rules.
Exactly. And the material you shared, it really gets to the heart of why English feels sometimes less like a system and more like an adventure.
Uh-huh. Yeah, an unpredictable one.
Our mission here isn't just to point fingers at the weird bits, though. We want to dig into the why.
Right. And give people some ways to handle it, maybe,
Mhm.
without needing a PhD in linguistics.
Precisely. We want you to feel, empowered, not just overwhelmed by it all.
Because honestly, who hasn't looked at a word and just thought, why? Like, take read, R-E-A-D.
hmm
Sounds one way now, read. But past tense, same spelling, sounds like read.
It's a classic example.
Or ooh.
Yeah.
How does that manage to sound like ooh in through, but then off in cough?
But ow and bad.
And even like up in hiccup? It's wild.
It is.
Oh, and my personal favorite, driving on a parkway, parking on a driveway.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense, right?
None whatsoever. But, as your sources promise, by the end of this, hopefully, things will be a bit clearer.
Okay.
We'll hit the top 3 inconsistencies, and yeah, pronunciation is definitely like the main event.
For sure.
And we'll tackle that old chestnut, I before E except after C.
Ah, yes, the rule. That isn't really a rule.
Well, we'll look at exceptions like science or weird or foreign. The goal is strategies, ways to feel comfortable without memorizing every single oddity.
Okay, let's jump in. First big one. Pronunciation. You said that this main event, it feels like the letters are lying sometimes.
That's a good way to put it. Like through sounds exactly like THREW, through. Simple enough.
But then,
But then you get tough, TOUGH. Sounds like tough.
right. And though, THOUGH. That's a
Yeah.
whole different sound again. Th-ooh.
Yes, it's a lot. One of the sources had a pretty good tip, though, kind of a survival rule.
Yeah.
Basically. If a word looks weird, it probably sounds weird. Don't assume the standard rules apply.
That's actually surprisingly useful advice for English. Okay, what's next? Plurals.
Plurals. Because just adding an S was apparently too easy.
Right. You have mouse becomes mice. Okay, weird but fine.
But house becomes houses. Just add S, why not heis?
Exactly. Or child becomes children.
But wild just adds an S, wilds. Where's the logic?
Is there any?
Well, historically, yeah, kind of. A lot of these irregulars, they're fossils, leftovers from Old English or words borrowed from other languages.
Oh, okay.
Like the
Yeah.
N in children or oxen. That used to be a much more common way to make plurals. It just stuck around for a few words.
Little ghosts of grammar past. I like it.
Precisely.
Okay, so pronunciation is tricky. Plurals are weird. What about verbs? Past tense seems like chaos.
It can definitely feel like that. A total free-for-all sometimes. Sing becomes sing. Fun.
Okay, a vowel change. I can maybe see a pattern there.
But then bring. Logically, maybe bring.
Yeah, sounds okay. Nope. It's brought. Where did that come from?
And the king of them all.
Go. Past tense is went.
Yeah.
Rent. Borrowed from a completely different verb, wend. Because goad. Apparently far too logical for English.
You mentioned a listener story about this.
Yeah, someone in the source material talked about using bringed as a kid.
Oh, yeah, I think I did that too.
And then getting corrected to brang.
Ah.
Only to find out that was wrong too.
See? It gets everyone. Even native speakers are just guessing sometimes.
Absolutely. It shows how much is just memorization, not rules.
So this leads to the big question. Why? Why is English like this? This beautiful, glorious mess.
Well, a big part of it, as one source put it, is that English is a language thief.
A thief.
Yeah, it hasn't just evolved on its own, it's borrowed heavily. Rules from Latin, lots of core words from Germanic languages, spellings, and vocabulary from French after the Norman conquest.
So it's like a linguistic Frankenstein, bits and pieces stitched together. Kind of, and those bits don't always mesh perfectly. French spelling rules meet Germanic grammar, meet Latin concepts. It causes friction. And silent letters. You can often thank the French for those.
Right, trying to keep the French spelling even when the pronunciation changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And what about this? Great vowel shift. Sounds dramatic.
It really was, linguistically speaking. Over a few centuries, starting around maybe the 1500s, people just started pronouncing long vowels differently.
Decided to.
Well, it was gradual, a big social shift. The source joked about blaming the tutors, but it was broader than that. The key thing is, printing had started to fix spellings around that time.
Ah, so the spelling got locked in.
Exactly, but the way people said the words kept changing. That's a huge reason why spelling and sound are so disconnected in English today. Like the A in name used to sound like ah.
Huh. That explains a lot. And then, just to make it more fun, Americans decided to spell things differently.
Haha, well, it wasn't just for fun. Noah Webster, Mr. Dictionary himself,
Ah, Webster.
he actively wanted to simplify spellings and, frankly, make American English distinct from British English, a bit of linguistic independence.
So color without the U, theater with instead of ur.
Exactly. Deliberate choices. So yeah, more variations to learn, but there was some logic behind that particular split.
Okay, so it's a thief, they had a dramatic vowel crisis, and then there was a transatlantic spelling disagreement. Got it.
That's a pretty good summary.
So how do we, survive this? How do we learn and use English without going slightly mad?
Well, one really effective strategy mentioned is learn chunks, not rules.
Chunks.
Yeah, like word groups. Since the rules have so many exceptions, especially for pronunciation, sometimes it's easier to just memorize the sound of specific tricky words together.
Like our old friends. Through, tough, and though.
Exactly. Learn them as a set. Don't expect a single rule for auth to work. Just know how those specific words sound. Treat them as individuals.
That makes sense. Memorize the exceptions as units. What about rules like I before E? Should we just ignore them?
Not ignore, maybe, but definitely embrace the common exceptions. Know the rule exists, but immediately learn the words that break it.
Like weird, or science, or foreign.
Precisely. Trying to force those words to fit the rule is just frustrating. It's often more practical to learn the rule and its most famous rebels together.
Okay, learn chunks, embrace exceptions. What else?
The last tip is maybe the most important for sanity. Laugh it off.
Just accept the chaos?
Pretty much. English is weird. Even native speakers get tangled up. The source mentioned people using supposedly instead of supposedly.
Oh yeah, you hear that all the time.
It's technically wrong, but people generally know what you mean. Getting stressed about every little inconsistency, it just makes learning harder. A sense of humor helps.
It's actually comforting, isn't it? Knowing that native speakers don't have it all figured out either.
Absolutely. It's not just learners scratching their heads.
So how do native speakers navigate it then, if they don't know all the rules?
Well, often they guess based on similar words. They use intuition.
Like assuming bring follows sing, bring, brang.
Exactly. Or maybe thinking it follows buy, which becomes bought, so bring becomes brought. Sometimes that intuition works. Sometimes it leads you to bring.
Right. It's a gamble.
And another tactic, apparently native speakers often just avoid fancy words.
Oh, really?
Yeah, why risk tripping over sesquipedalian when you can just say long word? It's practical. Avoid the potential error zone.
Simpler vocabulary is safer ground. That makes sense.
And let's be honest, in the modern world, we all rely on autocorrect.
Guilty. Definitely. DEFINITELY.
How many times has autocorrect saved us from definitely? It's like a digital safety net for these spelling quirks, which leads to a good tip from the source. If a native speaker corrects you, ask them why.
Oh, interesting. Put them on the spot.
Gently. But yeah, they might just be going on instinct, on what sounds right, rather than actually knowing the grammatical rule behind it. They might not be able to explain it.
That's actually really helpful. Okay, this has been eye-opening and kind of liberating, actually.
Good.
So we've got a little challenge for everyone listening. Time to put on your inconsistency detective hats.
Yeah, let's get hands-on with the weirdness. First, spot the nonsense. Look at the words comb, C-O-M-B, and bomb, B-O-M-B.
Silent B in one, not the other.
Yeah.
Why? Just spot it.
Second, test a rule. Try applying I before E except after C to words like weird, science, and there.
See how often it actually works versus how often it fails. Keep a tally.
And finally, task 3. Invent a word. Think about island. I-S-L-A-N-D. That S is silent, right?
It makes no sense.
So invent a better spelling. What looks more logical? Island. Ayland. Get creative.
I love it. You know, one source mentioned someone just giving up after hitting enough through and bow all in a row.
The oaf trio of doom.
They called it the hashtag English apocalypse. I kind of get that feeling sometimes.
Totally understandable. So maybe the takeaway is this. English isn't broken. It's just rebellious.
I like that, rebellious. It's got history, baggage, influences from all over.
Exactly. Its quirks are part of its story.
So the final advice when you're staring at some bizarre spelling or pronunciation.
Just point and laugh. Seriously, sometimes it's the only sane reaction.
Agreed. Okay, so looking ahead, next time we're diving into punctuation.
Ooh, yes. The secret meanings of English punctuation. The exclamation point, the question mark, the ellipsis, the em dash.
Because, as someone pointed out, punctuation saves lives. Think, let's eat grandma versus...
Let's eat, grandma. Very different meanings. Very important, comma.
Indeed. So join us for that. And to play us out fittingly, we've got the sound of, well, the concept of spelling fish as goatee.
Ah, the classic linguistic joke, because U can sound like F, as in enough.
O can sound like A, as in women.
And T can sound like sh, as in nation.
Goatee spells fish, only in English. Until next time.